I ain't had a child by myself. I'm telling you I need some help. How you gonna deny your child? How you gonna just walk out? You know you need to be a man, and help out any way you can. If not, I'll see you in court, receiving my child support.
Now, I would like to introduce you to a supporter of ours for Walk Down Entertainment who has supported us with our Baby Mama Drama Child Support Court play. He's supported us with all our endeavors, and Keith Mungin with his dream and his missions. Please help me introduce Mr. Johnny King.
Thank you. Once again, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for allowing me to be here again. I want to comment a little bit about help, because we can always talk about the problem. We need help. I'm a business owner in the Philadelphia area, and I think that what I'm doing is trying to bring a service to the city of Philadelphia by bringing some movie theaters, and I'm looking into things like lowering my prices, which allows you to be able to come to the theater and not just come to the theater, but be able to enjoy popcorn and drink and so on and so forth, because we know the economy's crazy. One of the things that I do want to touch on is something that Mr. Keith Mungin and I have been discussing, creating a program where we can try to help some of you people who are, relying on the welfare system and so on and so forth as a means of employment, and not so much as employment, but as means of money. There's no way you can live off of the welfare system. It's not designed for you to live off of. It's not even designed to help you. It's a Band-Aid. That's exactly what it is. It's a Band-Aid. And we know what happens when Band-Aids get wet, they come off. So at some point, you got to realize that you got to leave that system. You stand up. Do what you have to do with regards to going out and getting the necessary employment. Lazy is what we've been told we are all of our lives. And we are not lazy people. I mean, look out there. Everything that was built on our backs. And we need to clearly understand that. So we're not lazy people. The problem is we feel like we're not getting paid what we want to get paid. Well, let me tell you something about getting paid. I was one of those guys who didn't have dad there, had mom there, but I chose to go the right way. Not everybody can make that decision. Some people turn left, some people turn right. I chose to go straight because I felt that disappointing my mother was one thing, but then disappointing myself was incredible. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome everybody to Baby Mama Drama Child Support Court show today. And this is an important show. The show helps us to grow our families, have a certain type of foundation based on different family values and principles. We're going to try to get to the bottom of a lot of issues that we face in child support court and throughout our daily lives. And one of the main things that I really love about this show is that they put together a panel of intellectuals and professionals in the child support court area that can provide positive feedbacks and positive information to help everybody grow. And the man who's responsible for putting this together is Mr. Keith Mungin, who's also the CEO of Walk Down Entertainment. So please join me in welcoming Keith Mungin to the stage.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out once again. I'm glad y'all being patient and y'all stayed through the whole session. Appreciate that. So we're on the time pretty much, so I'm not going to talk too much. We're going to get on with the show. And just get a hold of your children, that's all I said. And talk to the moms and dad and try to work it out with them. Don't chase them off. They need their dad and they need their mom, pretty much. So it's plain and simple. Communication is the key. Knowledge is power.
Okay, our first guest we want to bring to the stage today is Darlene Lewis.
Thank you.
Hi. Okay, Darlene, can you tell us a little bit about your situation?
Yes, I'm a single parent. I have 4 daughters and 2 grandchildren. And I experienced being in the court system. You know, as a single parent, I didn't want to go there because in my heart, I felt as though that we can handle this on our own. I didn't want to go through that because I went through that with my first daughter. And I didn't want to go through the same history of with the 3 daughters. But since he wouldn't do what he needed to do on his end, so it was like I was forced to do what I had to do as far as court-wise. And a lot of that comes from me not investigating who I was connecting with, or even ask if he was to even be in my future at all. And it goes back to his father, his father is deceased, that I never met myself, that he did not do his part as a father to nurture his seed, to do and handle his business as a man. So it's like transform from the boy to the manhood, not so much as the woman, but what he has to do as a man for himself.
Now, did you find this out in the beginning, or you came to this realization about your husband, is it? After the fact?
Yeah, all this came after the fact. After the fact, yes.
Okay, so now that's, hindsight is 20/20.
Yes.
So now what are you doing now to work out the situation between the two of you and child support? Is it that he's not paying it on time, or?
Well, he's paying on time, and in the midst of the child support, he decided he wanted to physically assault me, so then here we go with restraining order. So now we have the child support restraining order, and I had to go down and file for custody because a young girl told me years ago, she said, Darlene, if you don't have custody of your children, your husband, he can skip another state and they could do nothing to him because no parent physically went down to file for custody of your child. So it's almost like you breed that child, but you have custody of that child.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think basically your situation goes further. It's more into the psyche of,
Yes.
what's going on in your relationship. There's a lot of issues there. You're dealing with abuse,
Yes.
continued abuse at this point in time.
Yes.
And perhaps we have on our panel, Dr.
That's good.
Yeah.
I want to just say it takes a lot of strength of character to do what you're doing.
Thank
Raising
you.
your 4 daughters
Thank you.
and 2 grandkids, did you
Yes.
say?
Yes.
That's a strong woman.
Thank you.
And you've had to
Yes.
do that in the face of abuse
Yes.
and in the face of caring for your children and setting an example that they
Yes.
haven't been able to see with their father.
Yes.
So I want to congratulate you for that because that is tough.
Thank you.
Okay. The other thing I'd like you to think about is the idea of shame. That oftentimes women who have been abused carry a great deal of shame. And it's not your fault.
Yeah.
And we can say that so easily, but it's hard to have it in your heart.
Yes.
But you are raising your daughters, you're doing what you need to do,
Yes.
and this is his problem.
Yes.
So in your home, if you can create the home that's safe,
Yes.
that's predictable, that's consistent, that's the best thing that you can do for your kids.
Thank you. And I also wanted to share with y'all that, and I want the audience to know that I have no hard feelings against my ex-husband or animosity because holistically, that wouldn't be good for me. And at the time, my self-esteem was low. And I needed to find me, know me, love me, and like me, all areas of me. And it wasn't about me, it was about the girls and their future and their education, and not to fall into the same steps that I did.
Okay, so now what's the relationship like between your daughters and the father?
Okay, my 3 youngest daughters, they go see their father every weekend if he choose to see them, or mother didn't interfere, or his friend, 'cause he's still in the partying mood. But the other thing I want y'all to know is I never talk about him. I let them see what's going on for themselves. So when they come back to me, then we talk about it, and they ask me, well, Mom, why'd you do that? And I say, I was young and I know what I was doing.
Okay, but now that the door is open and you're allowing them to see, are you helping to guide them also through therapy, child psychologists or doctors or somebody?
Oh,
because it's something that can affect them as they grow and they get older, because through us, our kids are learning like sponges. They're sitting around us and soaking up everything. And through you, your daughters are learning how to deal with a man. They might pick up a man and become, have somebody in their circle who they really didn't qualify, who might be abusive. You never know. This might be that negative attraction that comes apart. So what are you doing to help to kind of lay down a new foundation for your daughter so they can really get a fresh start?
Okay, what has happened within the past 9 years, all three of my daughters are AB students. They go to charter schools about leadership. Me as a parent and mother, I'm about to enter college next month as of September the 6th.
Excellent.
And we're close, and I do thank God that they allow me for the relationship, that we could talk about whatever it is. So I thank them for that, and I also thank them for them being the daughters they are and me being the mother, and it's nothing that I do that my daughters don't know. Every move I make, they know everything I'm doing.
Any of the panel like to respond?
Yes, I would like to commend you because you made a few statements that indicate that you are a role model. You are setting examples. You're looking at your past history and past experiences, and you're saying, enough is enough.
Yes.
I want to make a new example for my children. So
Yes.
first of all, I commend you because a lot of parents don't even stop long enough to look at that and make those decisions. Also, it sounds like you've gone through the actualization process, and that is to do a self-inventory and then self-reform.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it happened after the marriage broke up, your second marriage, from my understanding. But a lot of us need to go through the actualization process, understanding who we are, what we want, before we even enter a relationship. And even sometimes before we even have children, because we understand that, and we do an inventory, self-inventory, and then based on that, reform and change. Then a lot of the problems that we see now in the families, in the homes, would be minute. One last thing I want to say, as an educator, a teacher inside and outside of the classroom, I see things that you never will see. I hear the stories that you probably will not hear. And over the years, I've given an F to parents in child rearing who do not understand the negative impact that the baby drama has. And so this parent sitting here, Darlene, on the panel, I heard a lot of positive input in what you're trying to do to make corrections with yourself as well as your family, so I commend you.
Very good.
I
Wilson?
also wanted to add that I think it's really important that the family life cycle, you are trying to change that.
Yeah,
We know
yeah.
that family systems repeat themselves. It's right there. And you are taking active steps to change that. I think it would be really helpful if you talk to your daughters, what is it you're looking for in a man? What is it that you're looking for that can be your partner? What are you looking for in your lives? And that way you can have open dialogue about it, so then you can give them feedback as to what would be the most healthy and adaptive for them.
Doc, do you believe a lot of the behavior is genetic, DNA, as far as going back through history, as far as the parents, their mother, their father, their grandfather? Unless there's a connection there through the behavior.
Nature deals the hand, and we actually work it. So I don't think anything is set in stone. I think we inherit predispositions, but it's our choice. So I don't think anything is set in stone, and I think whatever we want to make of ourselves, we can. I think there's infinite possibilities.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention real quick. I think that what happens a lot of times with parents, two parents will go into court, custody
Can
setting.
you talk to the mic, Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, custody setting, support setting, what have you. And a lot of times those parents, what I've dealt with in my practice, those parents become so focused on each other and forget that the major focus that the court also has is going to be on those children. And what the court ultimately will try to do is to get the parents, either themselves face-to-face or through their attorneys, to talk to each other to try to resolve their differences before the court has to make a decision, an ultimate decision on custody or child support. So the court does, and the attorney's job in that situation, I think, is to try to remember that they have a client, but they're going to ultimately have to get those clients to see if they can talk to each other and to resolve differences, because at that stage, even though both parents thinks it's about them, it's not really about them, it's about those children and the effect that the custody hearing or the custody ruling will have on those children, the effect that visitation ruling will have on those children, the effect that support hearing will have on those children. And that should be the primary focus.
Okay. You and Mr. McDonald is attorneys, correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
basically, a lot of information that I received from the men, they think that the court system is basically designed for women. Is one-sided. Your opinion, as far as the men down there is crying about that? I know they say that if you give money at the receipts, they say, well, I did this, I paid this. They say that was a gift. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What they meant by that?
Well, generally, as far as your first question is concerned, it does, in my practice, I've encountered that a lot when I've had male clients. It seems to be, still even at this stage, there's some progress being made, I must say that, as far as the judge's perspective. But there still does seem to be a pro-female gender bias when it comes to custody issues in support court as well. And that's something that has to gradually change. I mean, what the attorney can do in that particular situation is attempt to get over those hurdles that are there. Judges are like everyone else, okay? And everyone needs to understand that. And they're just human beings. Now, they've been elected to a very important position, but what does that mean? Because they're human beings, what do? They bring all of their biases and prejudices, good and bad, with them to that courtroom. Now, they're going to tell you that they don't, but they do. Right. Because they're human beings. They're not superhuman. Right. Trust me. I know some of these judges personally. They're not superhuman beings. They're human beings. So you got to. The attorney has to work harder in that situation to try to overcome some of those issues, to try to show the truth about that male client, for example, in the context of a custody situation. And sometimes that goes to the point of, if the parties, I talked about earlier, if the parties can't work out an agreement ahead of time, sometimes as an attorney, you do what you have to do. Sometimes you have to show your client, your male client, in a positive light. You also have to show that the negative things that the other party, female, may be doing to hurt the child, because ultimately the judge will make their decision on the best interest of the child.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to acknowledge, Mr. Wilson's opinion that this is definitely a female-oriented system. I'm a pretty new attorney, and a lot of the family matters I deal with child support, it's very, very frustrating for me because it's pretty new for me. But I can just pull an example for you where I had a gentleman who was in arrearages and had to go to court, and the judge told him that he had to have $300 by the next time he appeared. And so I worked with this client. I said, look, you have to have $300 by this such a date. And I'm like, how are you going to do it? And when that date came along, he had his $300. He wasn't working full time. He struggled. He got that money. I don't know how, but he came up with that money. He did exactly what the judge ordered. And when I got to court, I got to court and I thought I had it slam dunk and that this guy was going to be fine and walking out. The judge took his $300, and because he missed the prior month's child support payment, while he was trying to make that $300 payment, he locked him in jail for 30 days.
Yeah, that's what they do.
And even though I argued, Your Honor, what good is it going to be for him to be in jail? The kid's not going to get his money. And unfortunately, because of the way the system is, he was put in jail.
Right. I understand. They take your license. You got any kind of lawsuit out there, they straight take the money from your account. You might think you're getting a lump sum of money from your lawsuit. It's already gone. Child support.
Well, actually, they just passed that law that you're talking about. Right. I think it was in September. Essentially, it's not all of your money. I think they put the cap at $5,000. Okay. So when you settle an automobile accident case, for example, your attorney has to affirmatively go to a website with DPW and show that there are no arrearages. Okay. And they swear on that, and then you have to sign an affidavit in order to get all your money without a problem.
I'm also out of that. It was a birth of harvest. I'm a visionary. I have 27 visions already written to this day. So if for whatever chance he decided he don't even want to work or child support, won't come in the way it's coming, that's all right, because there's enough on paper where that would generate what I'm not getting. And I also wrote my ex, because it was my first marriage. wrote him a 22-page letter called forgiveness. And I sat and spent a week just digging and searching and scraping, and it was all about me, not what he did to me, but it was me, what I did, how I played a part. So whether he read it, I don't know, but I know for me as a person that was needed. And once I got to that 22-page, if I felt like an eagle who has just flown into her destiny of starting all over again. So I wanted y'all to know that as well.
I think that's excellent. You really have to be commended for the way that you're dealing with your situation, because it is tough. And we appreciate you coming here today and sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
Okay.
For more information on this program or to become a sponsor, the number is 267-971-0958 or email us at familycourttv@yahoo.com. For a DVD of this entire program, the website is www.newartistonline.com and search Baby Mama Drama. Or visit our MySpace at myspace.com/Baby Mama Drama Child Support.
Our next guest is Demont Gladden. Okay, Demont, tell us what brings you here today.
Well, my issue is for a couple years now I'm paying child support, complying with the court orders, and basically because I've moved on with my life, I can't see my kids anymore.
Okay, when you say you moved on with your life,
Got married,
okay.
Have a child, new family,
So
new life.
basically it's a situation where the mother, she feels she still has strong feelings for you and can't deal with the fact that you're moved on, so she's using the children as a bait or
I'm gathering so.
a pawn in the system. Yeah. Okay, so when you're saying she's not letting you see the kids, do you have court child visitation?
No, I filed for visitation. Okay. My lawyer also filed visitation. I'm still waiting. It's been a year and a half.
Okay.
I'm waiting for a court date.
So she's actually going against the court order by not letting you see the child. Again, you know, a question for our attorneys on the panel. I've come across that a lot, and I've even had to deal with that personally, you know, where the mother would say, hey, listen, either she's upset because the father has moved on and is with somebody else, or whatever the case may be, she feels she should have more money, or she just doesn't feel like letting him see the kid that day. I mean, how and why is it in family court systems, judges will just let that go by? But the minute a man comes to court and a woman can prove that he is in violation of his court order, he's locked up or fined. But with a woman, there's no repercussions for her actions. How is that?
I'm sorry, I just have to say, I didn't quite hear what you said. Is there something in place, legally in place?
Yes, there is.
A visitation?
For visitation, right.
And she's just not?
Right.
Okay.
Essentially, in that situation, what your attorney can do is file a motion for contempt.
It's been done.
Yeah.
Well, and we're still waiting. We're actually waiting for a new visitation hearing and a contempt hearing. It's been a year and a half. They keep saying we're going to give you the next calendar date, and
your attorney can also file a motion for an expedited hearing, meaning telling the judge this is an emergency situation, these are the emergencies, list them in the motion, and ask for what's called a forthwith date. Forthwith, I guess, is legal term that means fast as heck date. That's all it means. And you're pointing out these situations, and one of the things that the attorney would focus on in the written motion is that the negative impact that the woman's behavior is having on the children's lives, and on your life, because she's taking away your ability to act as a parent and act as a father to those children and act as a positive black man, role model to those children as well. So those are things that can be talked about. I mean, I've filed those kinds of motions before, and I've received court dates that were expedited, emergency, and very quick, very fast dates. And you lump everything together, and then you get into court, and then that's when you explain your situation. And the woman would then, the tide is supposed to be turned, and she would have to explain to the judge why she willfully ignored the judge's order as far as visitation is concerned.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, what was the end result? Were the women held accountable for that, found for being held in contempt of court? No.
I hate to tell you this, but it depends on the it really does. It depends on the circumstances, and it depends on the judge.
And it depends on the judge, because I was going to say, you did give excellent advice, but I've personally gone through that situation on the opposite end, with my husband and his situation that he was going through. And we went through that. We filed for contempt, we, filed for the expedited and the whole 9 yards, and then nothing would happen. It's almost as if it would go away. So then when I started to research it even more, I saw that the problem is, again, we have to stop putting ourselves before these people in the first place. And that will eliminate all of that nonsense, because the court system basically is about money. They make money. Every time you have to do something, you stand before a judge, you have to pay somebody, okay, some type of fee or whatever to file a motion, a fee to file that, and a fee. So it's all about money. You have to question, is it really in the best interest of the child a lot of times, when their main thing is money, So with your situation, you're presently going through trying to get your visitation for your kids. What are you doing in the interim on your own outside of the court systems? I mean, is there any other person or anybody else where you can be able to sit down with your kids? Or
no, I can't go there.
I think Mr. Wilson may be able to help you out. Mr. Donald, I don't know if you already have your attorney, but y'all can pass information.
You're saying you don't have an attorney?
Yeah, I do have an attorney,
yeah,
but I don't want to physically go there myself to keep the drama and the heat down.
Right.
Because the child need to see what goes on in the behind the door scenes.
Right. But another thing that the child also doesn't need is to be separated from the father. So like we were stating earlier, and I know it's rough, because there are some men that I've met that have been struggling 14 years, they finally get custody of their kids, 7 years, 6 years, but you know what, it's worth it, and in the end, the kid sees that, guess what, you were fighting for me for a reason. And that makes a complete difference in a child's makeup and how they feel about themselves when they know that some of the things that maybe mom was saying and doing, because as women, we do a lot of times get a little slip with the lip, and we'll say little smart things about the father in front of the child, you know what I mean? And that hurts. That can hurt a kid, So,
and that child does not want to hear anything about you and that woman. That child only wants to hear that you've been trying to get in contact with that child.
Right.
And one of the things you have to be careful of is that the baby drama doesn't become the baby trauma.
Right.
Because they're without their father, and that's what's really the damaging piece.
As a teacher, we know that the early or the formative years of a child, the very early years.
Walk Down Entertainment is seeking funding for our future endeavors. If you are an organization, a mass media representative, political official, or involved in the marketing industry and interested in learning more about our projects, please contact the CEO of Walk Down Entertainment, Keith Mungin, at 267-971-0958, or email us at familycourttv@yahoo.com.
I'm trying to avoid taking you to court, but your actions is leaving me no choice. I swear, I'm ready to spaz out. I gotta pay the rent or the landlord kick us out. But you don't care, you got a nice little crib, we in the hood somewhere. And what goes around comes